fans, for the first time in over 25 years, it's time to introduce your Knoxville Smokies.
Go Smokies!
All right, Smoky fans, welcome back to another Pilot pregame show. My name is Jimbo James Cole Schmelzer alongside Daniel Iverson here. Daniel, how you doing today?
Doing great, Cole. How are you?
I can't complain too much. Just waiting for a little Smokies baseball. It was a good one last night. So, fans, first, I got to remind you that Pilot is connected to people and places with comfort, care, and a smile at every stop. Check out one of our conveniently located stations and try our delicious burritos, jumbo wings, tenders, pizza, hot home-style meals, and more. Pilot, see you out there. And first, we're just going to dive into a little Cubs news that's been going on. Our big brothers up north. They lost a tough one last night, 5-2 at the San Francisco Giants. Justin Verlander, he actually won his first home game since joining the Giants. Pretty surprising there. But the Cubs, they weren't able to get it done. They scored 2 runs in the first 5 innings. They got shut out in their final 4 frames. So, unfortunately, the Cubs lost again 5-2 against San Francisco Giants. And in terms of the division, it sets them back a little bit because the Brewers, they were able to walk it off 9-8 at home against the Arizona Diamondbacks last night. Isaac Collins had a game-winning sacrifice fly to score in Brandon Lockridge. Jacob Mizorowski, we've been talking about him all year long, obviously with our big brothers up north, the Chicago Cubs. They've been having a little trouble with Jacob Mizorowski. He's been great this season. He pitched 5 innings, gave up 3 earned runs, had 10 strikeouts, which is just the second time this season that he's pitched 10 Ks in the first 10 big league starts. The other time, he recorded 12 against the Los Angeles Dodgers. So, with that being said, taking a look at the National League Central standings, because of the loss and the Brewers win, the Cubs will be dropped back to 6.5 games from the division. However, they are doing well in the last 10 games. They're 7-3. They're actually better home versus away, so hopefully they can get over their struggles here on the road. Taking a look at the wild card standings, they're sitting very comfortably. They're 5 games up in the wild card in the top spot. So again, for Cubs baseball, it's looking pretty good, at least for the playoff perspective. The division, yeah, it's going to be a battle here for the last month of the season, but the Chicago Cubs will definitely get the job done. Hopefully we'll punch their ticket soon to the postseason. With that being said, we're going to get into our series recap from last night. The Knoxville Smokies, they were able to get the job done, especially in this race here in the Southern League North. They've struggled last week, only won 1 game against Montgomery Biscuits. However, last night they turned it around, and at a very crucial moment, this is a big series. If they want any shot of winning the Southern League North, now is the chance to do it. And Daniel, what can you tell me about it?
Well, Cole, the Smokies got off to a hot start in the series after Pablo Eliendo hit his 10th home run of the season. The home run came in the top of the 2nd inning, scoring 3 runs. The long ball was back in the 4th inning, however, for the Smokies when Andy Garriola hit a 2-run bomb that scored B.J. Murray Jr., and that home run marked Andy Garriola's first home run with the Knoxville Smokies this season, so big accomplishment for him. Shout out to Andy Garriola. The Smokies added a run in the 5th, which saw Jefferson Rojas score. The bats were really explosive yesterday for the Smokies. They had 10 hits compared to Birmingham's 6, so the offense was really in the Smokies' favor all night yesterday, continuing to get hits after hits. Like I said, the Smokies had 10 hits compared to Birmingham's 6. And then the bullpen for the Smokies did their job in relief. They did not allow a run in 4 innings of work, and those relief pitchers were Evan Taylor, Chase Watkins, and and A.J. Puckett. So phenomenal job for the relief pitching for Knoxville. And now the Smokies are 9.5 games back of first place Birmingham and a half game back of second place Chattanooga. We'll go into that more with the standings a little bit later. But the Smokies definitely making some ground, especially with a win yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned A.J. Puckett. He's now on 8 games here in scoreless appearances. So A.J. Puckett really getting it going when it matters the most. So now we're going to take a look at those standings that you mentioned here in the Southern League North. We're going to start. And it's going to be, like you mentioned, the Birmingham Barons leading the Southern League North 9.5 games back. The Smokies sit. Chattanooga, they're 9 games back. However, again, I've mentioned 1,000 times before, they've won the first half. So for them, it really doesn't matter. The Smokies are sitting 9.5 back. They gained ground last night with a win. Rocket City, they're pretty much out of it. 18 back, in fact. They've never really been in contention the whole season. Just 17 wins here in the second half of the season. But the Smokies, they sit at 25-26, again, in a very tightly contested series between the Barons and the Smokies this week. Hopefully the Smokies can really gain some ground. Again, you got to think about it. If they could win every single game this week, they would pull within 4.5 games to come back home in front of the home crowd for the last series next week at Covenant Health Park against the Rocket City Trash Pandas. So for the Smokies, every win matters now, and this is the chance to do it against the Birmingham Barons. They've been explosive here in the second half. We feel like they've ran away with it pretty much is how well they've been playing. But again, they've slipped up. They're 5-5 in their last 10 games. So hopefully the Smokies can take advantage and really pull themselves back in to this division race. And I'll toss it over to you. What can you tell me about the Southern League South?
Well, the top is a team the Smokies just played last week, the Montgomery Biscuits, sitting at 28-24 in the season, and they're 7-3 in their last 10 games. A big part of that was against the Knoxville Smokies. In second place in the Southern League South, Pensacola, they're 26-25, 1.5 games back of first place. So that race is very tight, a lot closer than the Southern League North standings. Columbus is in third. They're 26-26, 2 games back of first place, just a half game back of second place. They're 6-4 in their last 10 games. And then at the bottom, this one's surprising still to me because they won the first half in the Southern League South. Biloxi, the Biloxi Shuckers, they're 24-28 in the second half, 4 games back of first place. So the last place team is very close to Montgomery, and they're 5-5 in their last 10 games. And that rounds out the Southern League South standings.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to believe here because Montgomery, they came into the series last week 6-15 road games and came in and won 5 of 6 against the Knoxville Smokies. So it's just hard to believe, but they've been really, really urging to win this second half of the season and punch their ticket to the postseason. Again, Montgomery is taking on the Biloxi Shuckers this week. Pensacola will be taking on the Lookouts, and the Columbus Clingstones are at Rocket City. So that wraps up our standings. Now we're going to talk about the starting pitching that we got going here. We got 2 nice pitchers going on both sides for the Barons and the Smokies. We got right-handed pitcher Walker Powell. He's 0-1 with a 6 ERA against Riley Goins, the 7-5 right-hander from the Barons with a 3.68 ERA. And I'll start with you, Daniel. What can you tell me about Walker Powell?
Well, Cole, you just mentioned the record and the ERA. Walker Powell stands 6'8", 210 pounds. He's made 3 starts for the Smokies this season. In those 3 starts, he's pitched for a combined 12 innings. He's allowed 16 hits, 9 runs, but he has thrown 6 strikeouts. Powell was assigned to the Smokies back on August 6th. And in 2023, when he played for the Tennessee Smokies, just a few years ago, Powell was 11-6 as a starter for the Smokies. So very consistent. He was really good, especially in 2023 for the Smokies. And he posted a 3.68 ERA back in 2023 for the Tennessee Smokies, which they used to be called Tennessee Smokies. Now they're the Knoxville Smokies, obviously. And in that same season, he also threw 109 strikeouts back in 2023. So he had some crazy good numbers back then in 2023. But he also made it to AAA. So he's been up the ladder in the minor league ranks, and he's definitely experienced, and we'll see what he can do today for the Smokies and if he can pitch an effective outing.
Yeah, and the Knoxville Smokies, they basically brought up Powell, like you said, back on August 6th. They ended up releasing Ben Leeper and Felix Stevens at the time, which was a shock because the guy, he's battled injuries all year, but he was a very solid piece in that Smokies lineup. So again, Walker Powell making the start here tonight. And then we're going to switch it over to the Barons side. And tonight it's going to be the right-handed pitcher, Riley Goins. And for fans who don't know, the guy is pretty average, to say the least. He's 25 years old. He was original 2023 draft pick from the Atlanta Braves. This season, again, like I said, 7-5 with a 3.68 ERA in 23 games started. Against the Smokies, he's actually been pretty good, however. He's holding the Smokies to a 2.12 average with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs this season. But the guy at home, he's a little shaky. 2-3 with a 3.35 ERA and 10 games started, just 45 2/3 pitched. And again, Riley Goins is going to be a guy that we're going to look to see tonight. Hopefully the bats can come hot for the Smokies. Again, they had a great win last night, and we're going to look forward to getting another win and pulling into the Southern League North Division race. So with that, we'll turn our attention here to lineups. And it's going to be an interesting one here, I would say. We actually just got the lineups roughly about 5 minutes ago, which is pretty astonishing. But I'm going to jump into the Barons lineups to start, and then I'll turn it over to you, Daniel, for the Smokies lineups. So with that being said, to lead off for the Birmingham Barons, it's going to be the right fielder, Rico Nishida. Batting second, the shortstop, William Bergoya. Batting third, it's going to be the second baseman, Antanachi. The designated hitter, Wilford Veras, will be batting cleanup. The center fielder, Braden Montgomery, will be batting fifth. Then it's going to be batting sixth, Caden Connor at first base. And then the 7, 8, 9 is going to look like this. In left field, DJ Gladney. Doing the catching behind the dish, batting eighth, will be Jorge Corona. And the third baseman, Jason Matthews, will be the ninth batter, all behind Riley Goins. And with that being said, I'll turn it over to you. What can you tell me about that Smoky lineup?
Well, leading off for the Smokies at shortstop, Jefferson Rojas. Batting second for the Smokies in center field, Brett Bateman. Batting third at second base, Pedro Ramirez. Batting fourth, B.J. Murray Jr. Batting fifth at DH, Corey Joyce. Batting sixth at first base, Ethan Hearn. Batting seventh in left field, Jordan Wogu. Batting eighth in right field, Andy Garriola. Mentioned he had his first career home run for the Smokies yesterday. And then Casey Opitz rounding it off, batting ninth at catcher.
Yeah, the Smokies, they must have been trying to change something up. As you can see, Jefferson Rojas is sitting at the dead like beginning of this lineup here. He's the first batter. Usually Brett Bateman, we've seen a lot out of him being the first batter, leadoff batter here in this Smokies lineup. But Jefferson Rojas gets the call today. And then again, they throw Garriola back in the lineup, batting eighth, and doing the catching behind the dish. It'll be Casey Opitz behind Walker Powell. So fans, it'll be a good one here tonight. B.J. Murray's back in the lineup, and I just can't tell you enough about B.J. Murray because he is our lead home run hitter for our Pioneer Comfort, which Pioneer Comfort and the Knoxville Smokies, they've been hitting home runs for heroes this season. Again, fans, for every home run hit by a Smokies player this season, Pioneer Comfort will be donating $100 to the Wounded Warrior Project. And to this date, the Smokies and Pioneer Comfort have raised $6,400 to the Wounded Warrior Project, which gets me into my player to watch here, and that is going to be B.J. Murray Jr. And again, I mentioned just now, he is our lead home run hitter for Pioneer Comfort, 18 long balls on the season. In his last 10 games, he has been doing all right here, batting .250, 19 total bags on the year, only struck out 4 times. He's had 4 stolen bags, but this season, he's been a good hitter for him. He's batting .238, however, he leads the Southern League in RBIs with 79, and he's tied in home runs in the Southern League with 18, only behind Brock Wilkins. So for me, it's going to be B.J. Murray Jr. I'm going to send it to you. What can you tell me about your player to watch?
Well, it's got to be the guy who's batting second in the lineup, Brett Bateman. He's been on a tear as of late, especially the last 10 games. He has a .410 batting average, and in that span of 10 games, he has 14 hits, drew 7 walks, and 9 RBIs. And not just the last 10 games. Let's go to the whole month of August. He is top 10 in batting average in the Southern League with a batting average of .308, which is 8th in the whole Southern League. So very good stats right there for Brett Bateman, and he's really letting the ball hit the bat, flashing the leather a lot for the Smokies. And we'll see what he can do. Batting second today, a little change in the lineup, but I believe Brett Bateman is one of the guys who can get it done for the Smokies in their lineup today.
Yeah, and I have to mention something to the fans that are tuning in on YouTube and listening to us on the radio here. But we actually didn't know who we were going to pick for players to watch. We kind of just took a gamble. We talked about it. We didn't have the lineup. Lance Ryan was too busy trying to shake it up for us. So I looked at Daniel and I said to Daniel, we got to think of someone that comes into this lineup, the heart and soul of this lineup every day. So I took BJ Murray. Obviously, Daniel, you took Brett Bateman. It ended up working out for us clearly because these two, they get pushed into the lineup here tonight. And fans, it's going to be a great one. So I just have to remind you, fans, that you can listen to the games on 92.5 FM, 1180 AM, WKC. I am Jimbo James Cole Schmelzer, and alongside Daniel Iverson here, I'm going to sign off here for the Smokies Baseball Network. Let's get a Let's Go Smokies going here tonight.
Fans, for the first time in over 25 years, it's time to introduce your Knoxville Smokies.
Go Smokies! Woo! Woo!